Dear children, welcome all of you to the online classes of biology. So, in the previous classes, we were studying chapter 6, molecular basis of inheritance, and I already explained you some experiments that made it clear that DNA is the genetic material. But still, all the scientific world was not agreed to believe that DNA is the genetic material. So the undoubtedly it was proved by another experiment that was done by Hershey and Chase. Okay, so for this they have used bacteriophages. So you know bacteriophages are viruses, isn't it, which attacks the bacteria. They attack bacteria, isn't it? So they are viruses. The scientists, they confirmed this was Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase. Okay, so these scientists, they undoubtedly cleared the doubts of all scientists and they confirmed, okay, that DNA is the genetic material. Okay, so I told they have used what? Bacteriophages. What are bacteriophages? They are viruses that attack bacteria. Okay, so you know how the bacteriophages attack the bacteria, because whenever a virus attacks a host cell, what happens is the protein. Do you know what is the structure of a virus? Everyone might be knowing. Okay, they will have a protein coat and a genetic material. It can be DNA or RNA, isn't it? So in this bacteriophages, what they did is, okay, means what they do is, when they attack the bacteria or any other host cell, their protein coat will stay outside, okay, outside of the cell, and only they will inject the genetic material will be injected to the cell. Okay, so you know this genetic material will go and integrate with the host cell and they take over the control of that particular host cell, and then according to the virus DNA, isn't it, viruses DNA, the bacterial cell will start working. Understood? So in this way only what happened, the viruses works, or viruses attacks the bacteria or any other cells. So Hershey and Chase used this bacteriophages for confirming whether DNA or proteins are the genetic material. Okay, so what they did is they have grown the viruses on a medium containing radioactive sulfur and radioactive phosphorus. Okay, separately. Understood? Some of the bacterioviruses were grown in radioactive phosphorus containing medium, and some other viruses, bacteriophages, were grown in medium containing radioactive sulfur. Okay, so what is the use of this? When bacteriophages are growing on medium containing radioactive sulfur, okay, so their protein coat will get this radioactivity when they produce new bacteriophages, isn't it? They grow and multiply. So when they grow like this, in their protein coats only what will be there? The radioactivity, isn't it? If the bacteriophages are grown in where? In sulfur containing, radioactive sulfur containing medium, then the radioactivity will be seen only in the protein coat. Why? Because sulfur containing amino acids are there only in where? Protein coat. Sulfur is not there where? In the genetic material or DNA, isn't it? So all the radioactivity will be found in the bacteriophages which are formed in the medium. Understood? And the other group were grown in where? The medium containing radioactive phosphorus. So radioactive phosphorus, if they are growing, means if the bacteriophages are growing in medium containing radioactive phosphorus, what is the speciality? The radioactivity will get accumulated to where? To their DNA, isn't it? Because DNA contain what? Phosphate molecules, isn't it? Nucleotide is having what? Sugar. Then what? The sugar, then the nitrogen base and the phosphate group. So all the radioactivity will be found in the were in the DNA itself. Then the next step what they did is this radioactive phages were allowed to attack bacteria. Which bacteria? E. coli bacteria. Okay, so E. coli bacteria were allowed to infected by this bacteriophages separately. Okay, then as the infection proceeds, what they did is they tried to remove the viral cords. Okay, that is protein cords from the bacteria by agitating in a blender. Okay, so blending they used. Okay, when they blended that, what happened? Okay, their protein cord will get detached from the bacteria. Understood? And then the virus particles, they were separated or separated from the bacteria by using a centrifuge. Okay, so centrifuge, what happens? It rotates. Okay, it's a device which rotates very fastly. Okay, so when we do like this, what happened is, okay, the viral particle being the protein cord and the viral particles which are light in weight will get accumulated in the supernatant, and the bacterial content will be in the in the bottom. Understood? So when they analyze this, okay, the supernatant and the bottom of this, they could see that, okay, the no radioactivity was found in in the bacterium which was infected with the bacteriophages which are having radioactive sulfur. Is it clear? Why? Because all the protein cord were stayed out. Okay, and the DNA was not radioactive, and this DNA only entered into the bacterium, so there was no radioactivity. But in the supernatant, what is supernatant? That contain what? Sulfur, isn't it? So that radioactivity was found out in the supernatant, but in the bacterial cells, okay, there was no radioactivity. Okay, and then in the other group which was infected by the radioactive bacteriophages, after centrifugation they could see that radioactivity was still there in the bacterial cells, and there was no radioactivity in the supernatant. Okay, so once again we will see that in the with the help of a diagram, that is they made, so they used which type of organism in this? Bacteriophages. What are bacteriophages? Are viruses which attacks the bacteria. Okay, so they had grown them in two different medium. Bacteriophages were grown in two different mediums. One was having sulfur labeled, means radioactive active sulfur components was there. So when the bacteriophages grow in them, their protein cord only will get radioactivity. Why? Because in the protein cord only what sulfur will be used. Okay, and the other group was grown in where in a radioactive phosphorus containing medium, so that what happened, all the radioactivity get accumulated in their DNA, and there is no radioactivity in the protein cord. Then what they did is they allowed to infect the the bacteriophages were allowed to infect the Escherichia coli bacteria. So when they infect, as you know, always whenever a virus attacks a host cell, their protein cord will stay outside, and the DNA or the genetic material will go into them. Okay, so as the infection proceeded, what they did is they blended. Okay, they blended it and removed the protein parts. Okay, protein cords were removed from the bacterial cells, you can see here. Understood? And the next step was what? They centrifuged it. Okay, so when blending happened, what happened? All the protein got separated from the bacterium. Okay, and the genetic material got integrated. Now what happened is, in the next step is centrifugation they did. Okay, when they do centrifugation, what happened? All the bacterial cells will get sedimented in the bottom, and the viral particles, they will get collected in the supernatant. isn't it? So, when they did the centrifugation, and when the radioactivity was detected, it was found that in bacterial cells, okay, which were infected by the radioactive sulfur bacteriophages, there was no radioactivity, but in the supernatant there were what radioactive elements, okay, or radiations were there. And in the other one you could see that radioactivity was found still in the bacterial cells. Why? Because their phosphorus was radioactive, isn't it? And the radioactivity got means the radioactive DNA, they entered into the bacterial cells, and when the bacterial cell, okay, when the bacterial cell is separated from its protein coat, it was found that the bacterial cell is having radioactivity, and the supernatant, that is which contains the viral particles, was not having any radioactivity. So from this what they understood is the genetic material is the DNA. Understood? DNA is getting entered into the bacterium, understood, and not the protein particle. Protein coat is not entering into the bacteria, and there is no role of protein in controlling the character of the new viral particle, or the genetic characters are controlled by the DNA, not by the proteins. So Hershey's and Chase experiment, what they have done in short is, bacteriophages are, they done the experiment in bacteriophages. So what are bacteriophages? Are viruses which attacks the bacteria, understood? And then they had grown the bacteriophages in radioactive sulfur and radioactive phosphorus containing medium separately, okay. Then they allowed to infect the bacteria, and then the next step was what? By blending, okay, using a blender, they removed the protein coats from the bacteria. Then they removed the proteins, particles, which particles? Viral particles are removed by centrifugation, okay, and then they observed for the radioactivity, okay. So this is what Hershey and Chase experiment. You have to draw the diagram and practice. This diagram was also asked once, okay, and nucleosome diagram also I told, I think. So this diagrams you have to practice, okay, for 5 marks also it can come. So from Hershey's and Chase experiment, it was undoubtedly clear that the DNA or RNA is the genetic material. Now, what among DNA or RNA, which can be the better candidate for the genetic material, and what are the desirable characters of a genetic material, that we are going to study now, okay. So first let us see what are the characters of, or the special character and a molecule should have to be considered as the genetic material, okay. So first is, it should be able to generate its own triplicate, okay, means the molecule which is able to make its own copy, okay, that is first criteria for taking a molecule as the genetic material, okay. Then next is what? It should be stable chemically and structurally, isn't it? If it is not stable, what will happen? Mutation happens, isn't it? Changes can happen. Then at the same time, it should have a small scope for slow changes or mutations that is required for the process of evolution. Understood? These 2 points, is it clear? That is, it should be chemically stable and should be what? Chemically and structurally it should be stable, and it should not undergo frequent mutation. Otherwise what will happen? The characteristic of that particular organism will get changed. But at the same time, it should have some scope for changes. Why? Because it is very much an essential for what? For the evolution to occur. We have studied that the basis of evolution is what? Variations, isn't it? So slow scope for variation also should be there, okay. And then last is what? It should be able to express in the form of Mendelian character. Understood? So these are what? The criteria that one molecule should follow so that it can be selected as a genetic material. What are they? First is what it should be able to make its own copy. Second is it should be chemically and structurally stable, means it should avoid frequent mutation. And third point is what? It should have a small scope for slow changes or mutation. Okay, so that evolution can happen. Understood? Then next is what? It should be able to express itself in the form of Mendelian character. So the first point, that is it should be able to replicate. That is fulfilled by both RNA and DNA. They can replicate. Okay, both DNA and RNA can replicate. Then what about its stability? Stability of RNA and DNA, which is more stable? DNA is more stable. Why DNA? So this question also can be asked. Okay, what are the what criteria that is needed to make or to take a molecule as the genetic material? Okay, so 4 points are there that you have to learn. Okay, so next point what I am saying is why DNA is more preferable genetic material than RNA. Why? Because DNA is stable when compared to what? RNA. So we have studied that in the transforming principle also, when heat killed S strains are mixed with R strain. Okay, at least some properties of this S strain was retained, isn't it? That's what it could change the R strain into S strain. So when compared to RNA, DNA is more stable. Okay, so what are the reasons why DNA is more stable than the RNA? So first reason is what? DNA is a double-stranded molecule, isn't it? And both the strands are complementary to each other. Okay, so the 2 times the information is what kept in that, isn't it? Then next is what? Actually in the RNA, I told 2-OH group, okay, is present in every nucleotide. That is an extra OH group is there, that is very reactive, and this is the reason why RNA undergoes continuous changes. Okay, it can react. If reaction can take place, then it is not stable, isn't it? And it is a catalytic molecule also, so it's very reactive. Okay, so DNA is not chemically reactive. Why? Because of the absence of means when both are compared, RNA is having one extra OH group, so that will be more reactive. Okay, so when comparing this, the DNA is more appropriate, isn't it? Molecule for considering as the genetic material. Understood? Then another feature is the presence of thymine in DNA, which is the nitrogen base instead of uracil, thymine. Okay, so that also gives what? More stability to DNA. Understood? So these are the reasons why DNA is more stable than RNA. So RNA being unstable or more reactive, it can undergo what? Mutations very fastly. That is what our coronavirus is getting mutated every time. Actually, the chance for mutation is there in each replication, isn't it? Whenever replication takes place, one virus is getting divided into 2. Okay, at that time what happens? There is chance of mutation. Understood? So mutation chance is much higher in where? RNA. Understood? Or viruses with the RNA. This question also can be asked. Okay, viruses having RNA genome and having shorter lifespan. Okay, they are mutating and evolving faster. Why? Because RNA is very reactive. Okay, because of the presence of an additional OH, presence of uracil. Okay, and only one strand is there. Okay, so all these reasons are there for RNA viruses to get mutated and evolve faster. Okay, but when you see, DNA cannot directly directly control protein synthesis. DNA has to depend on what? RNA for protein synthesis. Okay, so protein synthesis is evolved around RNA. Understood? So so when we consider this, both RNA and DNA can function as the genetic material, but as DNA is more stable, okay, during the course of evolution, organisms or nature selected DNA as the major genetic material than the RNA. Understood? When we discussed all this, among this RNA and DNA, which is the first formed molecule, it is actually RNA. So what is the evidence for that? Actually, when you see the processes like metabolism, translation, splicing, this we will study, okay? Translation, metabolism and splicing, all these are related to RNA. Understood? So RNA was the first genetic material, and at the same time it was having some shortcomings, like it was more reactive. Okay, so what happened? Slowly DNA, which is more better form, evolved from RNA. Understood? RNA was not stable, so during the course of evolution, okay, nature has selected DNA, or you can say DNA evolved from RNA, which is more stable. Understood? So from what you can understand, because most of the metabolic processes, translation, the process by which proteins are formed, splicing, that I'll explain you, all these are associated with RNA. Understood? Then we can understand that RNA was the genetic material first, okay, and as being unstable, it was what means the nature selected DNA over RNA, or you can say DNA evolved from RNA with two strands, isn't it, having what more stability. Understood? So what we have studied today is Hershey's and Chase experiment, which undoubtedly proved that DNA is the genetic material. Okay, we have also studied that among DNA or RNA, okay, which is the preferable genetic material, and what are the desirable characters of a genetic material, okay, and why what RNA was not selected as the genetic material by the nature, and why DNA evolved from RNA. Understood? So all this is very clear, I think. We'll continue in the next class. Thank you.